Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Today I speak with Nick Brownlee, Property Inspector for Insight Building Inspections. You obviously love this business. Tell me what you love the most about it. Today, an absolute exclusive. Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Well, hi Nick, can you introduce yourself to us?
Hey Lisa, well thanks for having me on the podcast. I've enjoyed listening to it so far, so it's nice to be able to come along and hopefully contribute.
Thank you.
My wife Alicia and I are parents to two very busy boys, 7 and 9, and as well as that we're the owners of Insight Building Inspections based here in Christchurch. So we're a building inspections company specialising in pre-purchase and pre-sale building reports.
Fantastic.
But we also do everything around that, so leaky building surveys, earthquake damage reports, certificate of acceptance work for unauthorised work.
Brilliant.
So all of those
we
things.
see a bit of that.
Yeah, I bet.
Tell us, in your mind, what's the importance of a building inspection?
Yeah, well, obviously in Canterbury we've had the earthquake, so that's a big factor. There's a lot of unrepaired or poorly repaired earthquake damage, which people need to know about before they commit to buying a house.
Yes.
But other than that, even post-quake builds, it's a fairly significant investment, isn't it? So you want to know that whatever you're buying is good.
Fit for
And there's
purpose.
no hidden expenses to be had.
Yeah. So I love the fact that we are educating sellers in the benefit of getting that a report prior to going to market.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that looks and what happens.
So people will contact us hopefully well in advance of going to market, and then we can
Yes.
come and do the inspection and the report. That gives them an opportunity to deal with any issues that pop up
Yes.
prior to going on the market, because often the things that pop up aren't actually significant, but if you can deal with them before you go on, it just makes that whole process a lot smoother. I guess what you don't want is getting the property under offer and then something popping up and it crashes the deal
Yes.
or holds it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the buyer decides that they want, 3 times what the cost of repair is going to be off the price.
Yeah, and I guess the risk of not doing it is you're going to end up with several different building inspectors, potentially with different ideas. Hopefully if you get it done in advance, people can trust that you've got a quality organisation to do it and they can rely on it.
So is it generally the agents that contact you and say, I've got a new listing coming to market, can you come and do a pre-inspection?
No.
Or is it owners contacting
Normally the
you?
owners,
Great.
the agents that we work with will often give a list
Refer,
of,
yeah.
hey, here's
some people.
3 options,
Yep.
you choose.
Yeah. And how long does that initial inspection take?
We'll spend about 2 to 3 hours on site, and then we go away and write the report. And we try and return those reports overnight. So you have it back the next day, and then you've got time to do what you need to.
And you'll point out, look, this could be some maintenance that needs to be done, or, you'll give them some idea on things.
Yeah, certainly will. So we'll categorise it into major items, just things that you expect for a house that age, and then maintenance things that you can deal with relatively easily.
Great.
Yep.
And so normally they go and do that work and then perhaps get you to come back and have a look at it?
Yeah. Often we'll shoot back for an hour, go through, tick the items off, and then we can refresh the report, give them a new updated report that they can then put in the sales pack. Yeah.
And I think that gives sellers so much confidence that they're putting a good product out to market, doesn't it? And their agents can feel confident.
The agents that we do kind of deal with, they want to know what they're selling, because
Yes.
they don't want to be selling a lemon.
Yes.
And 99% of people want to know that the house that they're passing on to someone else is good as well, and there's no major issues.
Yeah.
Things like earthquake damage, if it's been poorly repaired, often there's an opportunity to go back to EQC and have it resolved.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. So the sooner they're onto
sooner
it, the
you get
better.
it, the better, yeah.
And I think you brought up a great point that, once you're underway with your marketing, you don't want things derailing that process and making it a longer process, or the power swinging over to the buyer and then, the vendor waiting around for the buyer to make a decision. So
yeah, well, you guys would see it
Yes.
often, I imagine.
Yes.
You get into that 10 or 15 day due diligence period and it
Yes.
falls over at the last minute. And if
Yes.
you've got your eye on your next house, can be a little bit heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's right, because you might already have an offer on something else subject to the sale of yours. So I think I love the transparency as well for all parties. Everybody's aware of what they're selling, what they're buying, what they're transacting.
Yeah. And the important one to note is that if you're a purchaser looking at a house that's had a pre-sale report done, if it was by us,
yes,
you've got the opportunity to give us, we have permission at that stage to discuss it with the purchaser through our T's and C's.
Yes.
And we can also transfer the report into their name.
Brilliant.
So then they own the information, and if there was, ideally there's not, but if there was an issue down the track, they can have a chat.
Yeah, so you stand by that in terms of providing it to both parties.
Yeah, the aim of the game is to do a great job for everyone. So,
yes.
Yeah.
In terms of buyers, if they are looking at properties that don't have those inspections done up front, why is it important that a buyer would want to make an investment in getting a property inspection? Yeah,
so there's a lot of components of a house that you can't see when you're walking through an open home, things like floor levels, foundations, plumbing, weather tightness issues. You want to get a professional in to assess all of that for you, so that you know that what you're buying, there's no hidden expenses after you've paid that large sum of money.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And once you provide that report, do you give any guidance as to remedies or things or can you point them in the right direction?
We want to make this easy for everyone, buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers. So we're always available on the phone to have a chat. Often it's hard to put something in writing and it might not be easily understood by the person reading it. So we want people to give us a bell and have a chat, because something that might look a little bit daunting in writing may be easily explained. And we like to try and offer solutions as well.
I think particularly for first home buyers, this is their first foray into the real estate market. And also, they might be on quite a tight budget, so they don't want any unaccounted for maintenance in that first 6 to 12 months, right? So you're giving them guidance about, hey, in 5 years' time, the roof might need a look at.
Exactly right. So things that come up might not be things that need dealing with immediately, but consider that in 5 years' time the roof might need recoating or the exterior might need repainting.
Are you considering the next step in your career? We're looking for passionate sales consultants to join us at Harcourt's Grenadier. We provide the support and resources to ensure you thrive in this exceptionally exciting industry. To find out more, visit careerinrealestate.co.nz. In terms of our monolithic properties, that's becoming quite a tough part of our market, and we want to make sure that all parties are aware of what they're selling, what they're buying.
Yep.
What do you do in terms of reports in regards to weather tightness? How does that look?
So we can initially do a non-invasive test and investigation.
Yeah.
That will ordinarily highlight any high-risk areas and any potential moisture ingress.
Yes.
And if we do find that there's those problems, then we'll recommend doing an invasive test where we might actually cut holes or put some pins into the timber to get a definitive answer.
In terms of if you took, say, 20 monolithic properties that you've inspected, can I get you to give me a percentage of those that would be really problematic?
Yeah, I would be guessing, to be honest, but it's probably relatively high. I reckon maybe 50% will have an issue, but there's pros and cons. Like if you're looking at a monolithic home with flat roofs, internal gutters, no sophites, then potentially there's going to be problems.
Big problems,
but then if it's a monolithic home with a nice pitched roof, good overhangs, there's less likelihood. It's not necessarily the end of the world.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point in that there's not one size fits all, or you can't just call them, there is different designs that bring about more risk, right?
That's right. Yeah. So not necessarily a red flag straight off the bat. It's worth looking into, but certainly treat it with caution.
Yeah. Are you ever involved in pricing up for reclads, or do you have someone you can refer people to? Yeah,
so we don't get too involved in pricing, but we've got certainly some trusted partners that will pass the details on.
There is some really good solutions out there, isn't there?
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're buying the property at a price that you're comfortable with the view to recladding it, then it might be a really good option.
Yes. Especially if it's in a great location that's going to take that capital investment and
Yeah. There's probably some potential in them if you're willing to do the work.
I think there's always different markets for things, isn't there?
Yep.
And we've certainly seen that as is where is market post-quake take off and had quite longevity, really. And I do feel like that there are solutions for owners who might feel they're lumbered with a monolithic clad. Is there any particular common things that you find in building reports that you're always reporting on?
Yes. People often forget to look at the roof.
Yes. Because you don't see it every day, right?
So that can be in poor condition often. Leaking showers is very common.
I was going to say, I reckon that's probably the most common is leaking showers.
They would be the ones that come to mind. And then floor levels, unfortunately, is a really common one at the moment. Insurance companies seem to be getting more stringent on their requirements. They're wanting, where they used to just want to know it's within the 50 mil tolerance, they now want to know that the gradients are all in the right tolerance, and that requires quite a bit more work from us.
Yes.
And it can be tricky when you're looking at an older home that's probably always been a little bit out
It's got historic gradients.
So we're having some interesting chats with insurance companies at the moment about that.
Yeah, I think insurance companies actually have got tougher and tougher as we've moved further away from the earthquakes, which is kind of the inverse of what you'd think logically. In terms of the leaky showers, because that's what I come across a lot, is it a relatively easy fix? I know sometimes you've obviously got to take the shower out and start again, but... Yeah,
it actually is.
Yeah.
It's just a case of parting with some money, unfortunately, but it's not that big of a job, especially if it's an acrylic shower.
Yes.
It's just a case of stripping
lifting
it
out and
dealing with whatever's damaged behind it, and then... You
know, for buyers, there is anxiety around, what's the building report going to show? And there's anxiety for sellers as well. And I think... You know, for someone like yourself, you can kind of try and de-escalate that, can't you?
Yeah, we're actually not there to try and kill the deal. We want to help the process and make it easy for everyone.
Yes, it's a collaboration, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So if everyone can communicate and everyone's happy to communicate, there's always going to be issues that pop up that are unforeseen and might tip the deal over, but in a perfect world, we can all work together and come up with a solution and get it across the line, because the people have made an offer on that house because they love it and they want to buy it. So
Nick, in terms of the investment required either by buyer or seller, give us some sort of price guidance on what these reports cost.
Yeah, so it's dependent on the size and complexity of the house. We'll quote each job case by case.
Great.
But they started around about the $600 mark for a basic 3-bedroom, single bathroom home, and go up to somewhere near $1,000 for something a bit bigger and more complex.
Yeah, which is... You know, small change in the big scheme of things if you're spending $500,000, $1 million,
yeah,
right?
I think so. It's probably not the one to take the cheapest price on. I'd recommend doing your research.
Yes. In terms of key takeaways, what do you think the most important things people know about building inspections?
I would say it's just communicate. Don't be scared to give your building inspector a call or an email and have a chat about the report once you've received it, because... It's not just a case of sending the report out, that's it, see you later. It's great to have a chat, figure out what's major and what's minor. So understand what you're reading, have a chat. And I think the other thing is, with the technology that we have today, there's not very often a situation where we would tag a component out of a home like the subfloor or the roof. We've got drones and we've got rovers. Yep. So there's really no excuse for that in most cases. So if you're reading a report and something's tagged out, then ask some more questions.
Yeah, that's a great point, because often you'll say, subfloor not inspected, but there's no, I mean, you need all those things done, don't you?
It's a really important part of the house, and we've got remote control rovers. Everyone can
send cameras down,
and so there's no excuse not to inspect it, unless it's really close to the ground and you literally can't get under there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nick. It's been invaluable advice that you've provided to us today. And all the best.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Grenadier podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Please give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it.